Once my father went to Puttaparthi and said, Swami, my daughter's marriage has been fixed. So Swami said, no, I will attend the wedding. You come and take me. So Swami took a taxi. Swami came with my father. He must have been 21 years then. He came to receive us as we were very tensed and eager and emotional to see him. We just cried and cried. That was our second visit to Puttaparthi. And then Swami used to come to our house, when he came to Bangalore. He came and stayed 3 days in a very small house where we also stayed. And during those years, we would have bhajans in the evening, and Swami used to sit in the front and sing the first day. And all devotees had come, but Swami stuck up in his room, closed the doors. He never came for the bhajan. He never came. All the devotees returned back, and Swami came out of the room only at 9 p.m. in the night. I had gone on trance. This was the one thing which I can never forget. One thing I wanted to tell you, Ted, Swami used to like sugar water very much during those years. We used to keep a glass of sugar water and some spicy preparation. Yes. Even if he would come for 5 minutes, have the sugar water, have a piece of that spicy thing. Even though I was young, I can never forget about his visits.
At the age of 81, Sumathi of Bangalore still has very vivid memories of her first meeting with Sri Satya Sai Baba. Back in the early 1940s, she was only 5. Sumathi and family were blessed with many meetings with Baba, and these are just a few. Welcome to Souljourns. We apologize for the quality of this recording. We recorded this interview on May 22nd, 2020. Sumathi, tell me how you came to know Sai Baba.
See, I'll tell you, this must be in 1943 or 44, when I was 5 or 5.5 years old. My uncle, a maternal uncle, came to house one day, and he said that there is a boy who has come from Puttaparthi and he speaks Telugu. He is in Bangalore. So immediately somehow it prompted my grandmother, as my father was a doctor, he was in the hospital. So it prompted my grandmother to go and visit him. So all the way, my grandmother, my mother and myself, we went there, and when we saw him, he was in somebody's house. He was sitting on a chair with a white dhoti and white shirt. That was the first darshan we got. Subsequently, we came home and we told our father about all these things. That was the first darshan. The second darshan, my father couldn't come to Puttaparthi. My father's friends made a trip. So along with them, we sisters, we visited Puttaparthi. During those years, it was a very tough journey, I should say. We had to go in train, get down and go in a bullock cart and cross the Chitravati river, and then we could reach Puttaparthi only at 9 in the night. By that time, Swami knew that we were going. He came to receive us as we were very tensed and eager and emotional to see him. We just cried and cried. That was our second visit to Puttaparthi.
Who was crying? Who was crying?
We cried.
Okay.
Because we were very emotional. We didn't know the place. We didn't know the language. That was the problem. So then we stayed some 2-3 days in one Mrs. Subhama's house, where Swami also was staying. And then we came back. Subsequently, my father and his another friend, along with their families, we visited Puttaparthi again. So this was how our journey started to Puttaparthi.
Sounded like a
And
beautiful, beautiful journey. And you were 5 years old when you saw him for the first time.
so from that time onwards, somehow we considered him as our God. So from that time, we were following, and even today we are following his advice.
Did you ever see him do any miracles?
Yeah, see, miracles, I can tell you, not all the time, but recently, some 15, 20 years back, my nephew, we are all devotees, the whole family is Swami's devotees. My nephew, he was in a pharmaceutical company. When he was during his work, he got a severe headache, which he couldn't control. Then he was brought to Bangalore to a hospital. Then doctor suspected meningitis. So he was taken to the examination table to do lumbar puncture. But by the time the sister and the doctor came back with the syringe, my nephew had a darshan of Swami in front of him, and Swami grazed him. Immediately, he was okay, perfectly okay, without that headache. When the sister came and the doctor, he said, "No, I'm perfectly okay now." So when I learned that he had been admitted to the hospital, immediately I rushed to see him. But I was totally surprised to see him on his bed, perfectly okay. So this was the miracle which we can never forget. We need not wait for the miracle itself. Once when we went there, usually in the evenings, Swami used to take us to the Chitravati river bank. That was the entertainment in those years. So Swami used to sit in the sand, play with the sand, talk something of philosophy, or ask someone to sing a song, and at the same time he would play with the sand. And first time we didn't know, he brought out something which was very, what shall I say, sweet scent. When we saw it was a sweet, no sand had stuck to it, and he gave that sweet to all of us. And
Beautiful.
second time, he put his hand inside the sand, and then we were eagerly waiting. By that time it was dusk, and then he removed Swami Shirdi Baba photo, small one, and he called my father's name. Adri, where are you? Come here. So my father always used to sit at the back. So he came to the front and he was given that photo. Shall I show the photo to you now?
Yes. Show it to me now.
Yeah. Just a second.
Okay, take your time. Is it possible for Vasudev to pick it up and pull it over to the camera? Yes, that's it. Now hold it up closer to that's it. Perfect. Real steady.
Is it okay?
It's okay. I got it. Okay. So tell me that last little story again. You've had that for how many years in your house?
Once Swami said to my father, next time when I come to Bangalore, I will give my darshan. You will be the first person. So one day, my father, being a doctor, he was going with his patient in a car, and it was heavily raining. And he saw just one car stranded in a park. That is, inside the park they had to go. Inside the park, the car was stranded. Then my father, the car went near that car, my father's patient's car. And then when my father saw there, Swami is sitting in that car. So he was just taken back. He was so surprised that Swami gave his first darshan to him. So immediately Swami got down and spoke to Swami. My father got down and spoke to my Swami and said, no, the car is under repair, Swami said. So my father said, no, Swami, you go in this car. So my father's patient, that's how he got his first darshan. So in those days, Dad, we used to visit Puttaparthi quite often. As I told you, the journey was extremely tough. And the people there in the village wouldn't believe Swami. They used to make fun of us. So nothing would be available there. We used to visit there. We used to stay under a tree and we used to cook there and do all those things. But even before that, Swamis had no place to live. So someone had built a hut for him, a long hut. So when we went there, we used to stay in one part of the hut and Swami used to stay in the other part of the hut. So daily we used to go to Chitravati river for our entertainment. That's how once when our whole family was there, along with my father's friend's family, 2 old women were there. My grandmother, which the photo you can see at my back at the top. Can you see?
Your grandmother? Yes, I can see her.
My grandmother, that's my grandmother. So, and my father's friend's mother, both of them were very old. In those days, Swami used to take us at the top of the hill. So Swami said, these 2 women couldn't climb. And Swami came down and said, why, old women, can't you climb? Come, I will take both of you. So that's how he took both of them to the top of the hill. See, that was a miracle, I should say. Who couldn't walk or climb, he made them climb. And Swami used to write letters to my father. These were the letters he was writing in Telugu with his photograph. We would get his photo and we would be eagerly waiting to cut that photo and keep it with us.
Can you read that photo? Can you read that letter to us?
No, it is in Telugu. I can't.
Oh, okay. Sumathi, I want to ask you, did you ever talk to Sai Baba?
Yeah, my goodness, we used to be in close proximity with him.
Do you remember anything Sai Baba ever said to you? He must have talked to you before.
Yeah, he used to talk to us every time when we went there. He used to give us interview. Until he interviewed us, we wouldn't return back. Once my father went to Puttaparthi and said, Swami, my daughter's marriage has been fixed. So Swami said, no, I will attend the wedding. You come and take me. So Swami took a taxi to Puttaparthi and Swami came with my father. He attended the wedding. Just then. He must have been 21 years then. He must have been
wonderful.
21 years. And once I want to tell you, once my mother visited Puttaparthi for Swami's birthday. So she wanted to visit. All alone she had gone with some of her friends.
Mm-hmm.
And she was in her room. During those years, all the devotees would prepare lunch, irrespective of caste, creed, or religion. All the devotees would prepare lunch. And all the devotees who had gone there used to partake that food. Because my mother was very orthodox. She didn't go. But during those days, Swami used to come to all the rooms and see whether everyone has gone there and partook their food. But my mother was at home, the room. Then Swami came and asked, why? Why have you not gone to take your lunch? She said, no, Swami, I am Orthodox. I can't have lunch prepared by all others. But Swami said, no, you are going and having lunch. It is Swami's prasadam. Then, without a second word, she went there and she partook her food. So
wonderful.
These are things which we can never forget. And then Swami used to come to our house, when he came to Bangalore. Once my father invited him to come to our house. That was the first time. He came and stayed 3 days in a very small house where we also stayed. And during those years, we would have bhajans in the evening, and Swami used to sit in the front and sing very well, very well. We used to follow him. And when he came for 3 days stay, the first day we had arranged for the meeting and all devotees had come, but Swami stuck up in his room, closed the doors. He never came for the bhajan. We were all so anxious. Why Swami hasn't come? Swami hasn't come. He never came. All the devotees returned back and Swami came out of the room only at 9 p.m. in the night. When someone asked Swami, no, see, I had gone on trance to save some devotee. So this was the one thing which I can never forget. He stayed with us in our house for 3 days. And subsequent visits, when he used to come to Bangalore, we would know about his visit. Immediately, my father would go there wherever he stayed and Swami would invite him. Sometimes he would come and stay for some time. Otherwise, he would give a flying visit to us. Every time. So one thing I wanted to tell you, Ted, Swami used to like sugar water very much during those years. Sugar water and pan. So we used to keep a glass of sugar water and some spicy preparation and pan for him. Yes. Even if he would come for 5 minutes, he would come, have the sugar water, have a piece of that spicy thing, and have pan and would go back. So these visits, I can never forget. Even though I was young, I can never forget about his visits. He used to come to our house. After all, see, it was a small house, not this house where we are staying now. But otherwise, in this house, Swami is permanently there, I should say.
I would think so.
I'll tell you, Ted, some 10 years back, when I went to Melbourne to Darshini's house, she said, in the Sai Samiti, my granny knows so many things since her childhood. She has moved with Swami. Then they invited me on a study circle day to talk about Swami. So some 20 minutes I talked and I gave all these experiences about us to them.
Sumathi, you've had some wonderful stories to share with us, but has anybody ever asked you, who is Sai Baba?
I cannot tell anything more than this. Since the first darshan, we are his devotees. And every time, every day, he leads us, he protects us. That much I can say.
What was the last time you saw Sai Baba?
See, after some years, we couldn't visit Puttaparthi. For his 50th year, I visited. For his 60th year, I visited. And sometime when Swami was alive, I must have visited him when he was 82 years or 83 years. Mm-hmm. That's one, last one.
Yeah. Well, Sumathi, I want to thank you very much. This has been a wonderful story. Darshini, your granddaughter, told me that you had many stories to tell me and to tell us about Sai Baba. And I want to thank you, thank you for being so generous and
Thank
so
you.
patient.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dad. Was I clear to you? Was I clear to you?
You were very clear to me. I thoroughly enjoyed hearing your stories. And thank you so much. And Sairam, Sairam, Sairam.
Saira.
Bye-bye. Thank you. We're going to go now. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.